So we got Sami Zayn making a return back to Raw to go up against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. Oh, so much for my KO Mania tweet on Austin Aries, but I kind of knew that was going to be a pipe dream. But hey, it should be interesting. I actually fell asleep for the first half of Raw. I had a chance to see the opener and all that, and I actually went back and rewound it to see what I missed, and didn't really miss much. But I will say that it was a great opener. Like, I'm not gonna lie, opening up with Shane McMahon was the best way to go. It was. But I'm gonna say this: with everything I've seen on the network about Shane, and also the back and forth banter between Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon, kicking him out of the arena made no sense because they literally had, I don't even know if it's a, I mean, they literally had a reflection of all of all of Shane's matches and his encounters. They even had some of the footage from WWE Countdown on there about, because he was an honorable mention for the top 10 high flyers. And honestly, he should have been on the list, but I'm not getting into that. I will say that kicking him out of the arena kind of contradicts having a segment about your son, the son that you're supposed to be hating right now, about all of his accomplishments. That kind of contradicts exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And I don't know, it seems pretty backwards. Vince had his say so. He had his say for last week, no matter how backwards it sounded, and it really was backwards. How can you say that he dishonors you if he loses? Like, if he loses, that means he won't be in charge of Raw, which means you'll still have a job, and it'll be all good. But he dishonors you when I don't know. Vince really shouldn't be at all involved in this segment. He's already said his piece. He looks like a senile old man every time he speaks now. And I'm just being completely honest here. I understand that he's his dad, and he has to have some kind of banter back and forth, but it seems like he's just drawn out of the seat of his pants. Like seriously, it looked like he just took out a napkin, wrote what he was gonna say down real quick, like hours before going out there, and just see if it was gonna work. And it kind of fell flat, at least for me. But overall, it didn't ruin the moment that when Shane came out. I have never heard a pop for any non-superstar that loud in ever. Like, it still remained the same. His first time he showed up on Raw was phenomenal. The whole place looked like it was shaking. It sounded like it was shaking. The same time now, massive pop for Shane McMahon. And honestly, it's going to be that way when he goes into to WrestleMania. It's going to be great. Honestly, it is. And seeing how Shane is a freaking daredevil, this dude's going to be in a match. Everybody kept thinking that Shane was going to have something up his sleeve. No, Shane was going to freaking do the match. He's done some crazy stuff before. And I really do believe that Shane McMahon is honestly going to do it. I think it's going to be in this match. And it's going to be great. But that was a great way to open the show. I really agree. And also the match that's one of my favorites of the night, that in my opinion is definitely one of the main events, in my opinion, is Kevin Owens versus Neville. That was a great match for Raw. It really was. Very intense, very fast paced, completely throughout, even though it ended with a roll up. But still, it was a really great match. I enjoyed it. I really did. And I think that should have been close to the end of the main event. But all the other matches I didn't really care that much about. Even the Sasha Banks Becky Lynch tag team match, I didn't really care much about that either. But I will say this about those two. They have improved greatly when it comes to their speaking. Becky Lynch has improved so much. Like, she really has. She has personality in some of the things that she says now. She sounds like that she's really getting into her role, her character as Becky Lynch. And the same thing with Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is becoming the boss. Finally. She has always been a great competitor in the ring, but she's never been that great on the mic. But she's getting so much better now. Now you need to work on Charlotte. Like, seriously, Charlotte needs some work. But seeing how those two are improving so well on the mic really shows that they're doing something with them behind the scenes, which makes me very happy. But from that Divas match, that was a complete squash match with Naomi and Tamina, in my opinion. Let's move on to the Divas match before that with Brie Bella versus Summer Rae. Poor Summer Rae. She actually does have some talent, but she is not utilized as well as she should be. Before, she was a valet for Tyler Breeze. Now she's wrestling on her own now, and honestly, I was looking at old footage from, well, not old footage, but I was looking for like some wrestling footage with for Tessa Blanchard's match, and I looked at Tessa's ring attire, and I'm looking at Summer Rae's ring attire. Maybe, I don't know, out of respect to Tessa, she made her ring attire just like hers. I don't know. Just saying. If anybody wants to go back and watch Tessa Blanchard's old matches, I actually did leave a link on my Wrestling Fan Nation page, so go ahead and check it out. It is actually pretty good. It's definitely different than WWE's, a small venue, you can tell. But she is a great performer, and I hope for the day that she actually becomes a part of the Divas division. But maybe not so quickly. Mr. Griffin actually introduced me to it. But anyway, it's a shame that she's not in great storylines as she was in NXT. I was hoping that she would be, but I don't know. With the Bella Twins pretty much on their way out, especially Brie's last match at WrestleMania, it's a possibility that they might do something different with them, especially if Shane gets on board as being the GM. I guess that's how it's going to happen. I don't know. But other than that, the match with Brie and Summer Rae was really quick. Something I kind of anticipated being really quick. But yeah, the feud between Lana and Brie is really happening. And the fact that Lana came in there, did the face buster to the mat, or the X-Pac's old finishing move to the mat. I'm interested to see exactly what Lana has to offer. It was well polished. Yes, it's a go-to move for people who can't wrestle. It is. I'm not gonna lie, but she did it in a very polished way. So it's a possibility she might have some more moves in her arsenal. So I'm kind of interested in where it's gonna go here. I'm not going to say that Lana cannot wrestle, but I don't know if she can or not. But it looks like that Lana, the way she executed it, was well polished, well done. It didn't look sloppy. So there's a chance that she might be good. So I'm kind of interested to see how it goes, especially if it's Brie and she has to give it her all. So, and this is WrestleMania, so I don't think she wants to look stupid here. Besides, her fiance is the Bulgarian Brute. More than likely, he's training her. So there's not going to be any fear there. I mean, shoot, Stephanie improved when she had her feud with Brie Bella because Triple H trained her. So honestly, I think that she's going to be alright. And it's going to probably be a good match for WrestleMania. But moving on from there, all the other matches, in my opinion, were irrelevant. Especially Dolph Ziggler. And then they showed Zack Ryder on there briefly. But honestly, I don't know what they're going to do with Dolph. They have him here and there everywhere. Dolph needs to go back and being a heel. But right now, he's kind of a tweener. I really don't know. I mean, I can't say that he's an anti-hero because he doesn't follow the beat of his own drum. He doesn't have his own rules, his own laws of life. He doesn't really have that. Not anymore. He used to, but not anymore. He's kind of a tweener between good and bad. I guess that may be the same thing, but other than that, he doesn't have his own personal code of ethics. Actually, no, anti-heroes don't really have a code of ethics. Either or, he doesn't really have his own code. But regardless of that, I will say that I don't know what they're going to be doing with him. And the fact that he was with the League of Nations lets me know it was going to be a very quick match. And it doesn't look good for Dolph. It doesn't. It doesn't look good for the League of Nations either. Because we know that Wade Barrett is going to be leaving in April, right after WrestleMania, or probably sometime before. But other than, I mean, if he wants to have his big payoff, it makes sense for him to actually stay around till after WrestleMania. But they're going to be losing one member of their group. So it doesn't look good for League of Nations, and it really doesn't look good for Dolph being in these matches. It's a lose-lose for both, in my opinion. But honestly, guys, the main event itself really wasn't a main event. It wasn't. And yeah, it was nice to see Dean Ambrose come out there and have his own little promo, as well as having the back and forth with Triple H. This just really feels like a tease for me. I actually, and yes, I did in my top 3 theories that Dean Ambrose was going to take the belt away from Triple H. I believe that wholeheartedly when I made the video. Now, after seeing this and seeing his promo, I'm like, y'all gonna tease us again. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna tease us that Dean Ambrose is gonna come out champ, but then somehow Triple H is gonna still dominate, and we're literally not gonna see Dean Ambrose as champ at Roadblock going to face Roman Reigns. I would rather have him face Roman Reigns than Triple H. Triple H doesn't need it. He doesn't need to be there. He don't. He's proved his point. He's been in multiple iconic matches. He doesn't need this. Dean does. And honestly, if Brock Lesnar doesn't have anybody going up against him, that's somebody they can actually pair him with. It can happen. It can really happen. But I doubt it's gonna be The Rock. But other than that, yeah, I really feel like they're gonna be teasing this man. It's just gonna be like, oh yeah, Dean Ambrose is about to win. He's about to win. No, he's not. No, he's about to win. He's about to win. No, he's not. I really feel like they're gonna do that. I really do now, and it's just making me. It's kind of pissing me off a little bit. But other than that, it was Dean Ambrose was all over the place. He was all over the place when in his promo. It seemed like he wasn't really organized with his words. But even though Dean Ambrose just flies by the seat of his pants when it comes to him speaking, it still sounds coherent. Like it still sticks to what he's talking about. But tonight he was everywhere, and I'm like, okay, just stay in your lane, dude. Stay in your lane. But other than that, Triple H kind of saved the entire moment. He kind of saved that whole moment when Dean Ambrose came out. He kind of saved the promo, in my opinion. But that's Triple H. He's done it for so long. He's a well-polished guy when it comes to his speaking. He stays in his lane, and he knows exactly what he's about to say. So in my opinion, Triple H kind of saved it that night. He really did. Triple H kind of saved it tonight. He really, really did. But other than that, the ending when he had to face Bray Wyatt, yeah, I knew where this was going to go. It's going to go with the Wyatt family coming out. But the one thing that the people want to see in Chicago, they want to see Triple H versus Bray. Why? When we know where it's going to go. And it ain't going to go with Bray winning. So it makes no point. It makes no sense for Bray Wyatt versus Triple H. Maybe because he had the championship belt. And they want to see Bray beat Triple H for the belt. That will never happen in a million years. So keep dreaming. But other than that, yeah, it will be an interesting match. But he's gonna bring out his family, and it's gonna make him look weak. That's how he's looking now. He's looking weak. So why in the world would he have a championship belt? But other than that, the main event was just kind of meh. Except for the very end, it was interesting how he had did the dirty deeds on him. I don't know. Triple H looked kind of hurt. Like he wasn't moving. Like no twitch, no shake, no breathing. He looked like he was genuinely knocked out. But I'm hoping that wasn't the case. I'm hoping he didn't have a concussion, because if he did, that'll definitely change the whole route of the entire Roadblock pay-per-view. But other than that, guys, I will say this. This Raw wasn't bad. It actually was fairly decent. The opener was great. Definitely seeing Shane McMahon come back in response to what Vince said was pretty cool. Vince didn't really have a clue what he was saying. He just spouted out any words that came to his head. And it's a given because it's been happening a lot this week. But, a lot for the past few weeks. And then, of course, we had Stephanie backstage. But other than that, some of the matches really, I didn't care much about. I didn't care much about Ryback's match. I didn't care much about the Outcasts, even though they're a thing. But the match of the night, in my opinion, definitely was Kevin Owens versus Neville. That was the match of the night for me. I enjoyed it. I'm very interested to see exactly what's going to happen between Lana and Brie. And I'm happy that that the boss, as well as the last kicker, is finally starting to speak real words and actually have a personality when they speak. Not insulting them, it's just that they weren't really well trained on the mic. So I'm kind of happy that they are getting a lot better with that. And it's going to be even better hyping up the match for WrestleMania. But the main event did fall flat for me. because I didn't really see it much as a main event because we knew what the outcome was going to be. I didn't care much about the Outcast and Ryback, man. And I didn't care, and I'm really starting not to care much about the New Day. I'm sorry, I'm not. It just seems like it's the same old shtick night after night after night. No change. They constantly have to remind the crowd that they're heels. It's not working anymore. And they really do need to start changing stuff up. I'm hoping that they bring up the Freebird rule, because they really do need to do that, because it's a given that, you know, they're pretty much the benefactors of the Freebird rule. If they put that in the storyline and maybe make it a little bit more interesting. But other than that, guys, Raw really was a decent show. But I'm hoping that when Shane comes along, that he'll definitely just take away 1 hour and make it 2. That's just me. But guys, what were your thoughts about Raw? Leave a comment in the comment section below, or send a video response. I'm curious to hear what you guys' thoughts about Raw, because as for me, it was a decent show. They were promoting a lot of matches leading on up to WrestleMania. Some of the matches I did not care about. The Divas are doing a lot better in their speaking than they ever were, except for Charlotte. She needs work still. But other than that, it was great. I'm cool with it. It was a decent show, but I want to hear your thoughts. Niche Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. Later.